All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're going to try and peek inside the world's most secretive country. Drawing on the absolutely harrowing accounts of those who've managed to escape, we're going to explore the shocking rules that control every single moment of life for millions in North Korea.
Let's just start with this. It's a chilling quote from our source material, and I want you to really let it sink in. In North Korea, guilt isn't something you earn, it's something you're born with. Hang on to that idea, because it is the absolute key to understanding everything else we're about to get into.
So how on earth does a system like this even happen? I mean, this level of control doesn't just pop up overnight. To really get it, we have to go back to the very beginning.
Okay, so picture this. World War II ends, and Korea gets split right down the middle. The North is heavily influenced by the Soviet Union, the South by the US. Then, in 1948, the Kim dynasty begins with Kim Il-sung. The brutal Korean War kicks off just 2 years later, and here's the crazy part. It never officially ended with a peace treaty. That constant state of war basically froze the country in time, cementing decades of hostility and deep, deep isolation. And that power has stayed in the family ever since, now with Kim Il-sung's grandson, Kim Jong-un.
Now this is where things get really, really disturbing. The state's control begins the literal second you are born. In North Korea, your entire life's journey is already decided for you, based on your family's history.
It's a system called Songbun, and you gotta understand, this has nothing to do with your talent, your ambition, or your wealth. It's a rigid, hereditary class system based entirely on how loyal the government thinks your ancestors were to the Kim family. This one classification dictates everything: where you're allowed to live, the job you'll get, even how much food you're allocated. And this table just lays it all out. At the very top, you have the core class. These are the descendants of revolutionary heroes. They get all the perks: the best jobs, the right to live in the capital city of Pyongyang, and they can even own cars. In the middle, you have the wavering class. This is most people, kind of stuck, living under constant surveillance. And then, at the very bottom, you have the hostile class. If your great-grandparents were landowners, religious, or had any connection at all to South Korea, you're branded a traitor. You are destined for a life of forced labor under the most brutal conditions imaginable.
So the state controls your social destiny from birth. But how does it control what you think? Well, by building a massive, impenetrable wall around your mind.
Just look at the difference here. It's absolutely night and day. We have the global internet, chaotic, open, free. They have a completely sealed-off national internet. There's no Google, no social media, no outside news, just a tiny selection of state-approved content, and you can bet every single click is being watched.
And this lockdown is total. Radios and TDs are literally hardwired so they can only get government channels. Every single newspaper is state-run. If you get caught with something as simple as a USB drive with a South Korean TV show or a Hollywood movie on it, that can get you sent to a labor camp for years. The goal is simple. The only reality North Koreans are ever allowed to know is the one the state creates for them.
So this control over information, it goes way beyond just the media. It bleeds into the most personal, tiny details of everyday life. The level of regulation is, well, it's almost impossible to fathom.
It starts with how you look. You can't just get any haircut you want. No, you have to pick from an official, state-approved list of hairstyles. That's it. Personal expression is not an option.
Your clothes are policed too. Blue jeans, absolutely forbidden. They're a symbol of American imperialism. Dyeing your hair a different color, wearing a shirt with an English logo, all illegal.
And forget about freedom of movement. You can't even visit your relatives in the next town over without getting an official government permit first. And the idea of owning something? It's completely different. Your home isn't actually yours. Nobody owns private property. Everything, from apartments to businesses, belongs to the state.
And what about freedom of belief? Not existent. The state demands total, undivided loyalty. So, practicing any religion is completely forbidden. You might see a couple of churches, but they're widely believed to be fakes just for show. Your entire life, from top to bottom, is under state control.
Okay, so you've got this incredible web of rules controlling every little thing you do. How on earth are they enforced? Through a constant, public, and brutal system of loyalty tests.
The regime's single most powerful tool for control can be boiled down to one terrifying number: 3.
This is the infamous three-generation punishment rule. If you commit a political crime, it's not just you who goes to a prison camp, your children and your grandchildren will be born and raised in that camp with you. This takes us right back to that quote from the beginning, an innocent child declared a traitor at birth. It is the ultimate deterrent against even thinking about stepping out of line.
And on top of that constant threat, you have to perform your loyalty all the time. Citizens have to go to weekly meetings where they publicly confess their own ideological weaknesses. They have to vote in elections with only one candidate. And they have to publicly perform intense, convincing grief on the death anniversaries of past leaders. Not appearing loyal enough is incredibly dangerous.
And this chart, well, it says it all, doesn't it? 100% of the vote for the one guy on the ballot. This isn't a democratic choice. It's a mandatory roll call. It's a census designed to find anyone who might be brave or foolish enough to dissent by simply not showing up.
Which, of course, brings us to the biggest question of all. Why? Why build such an elaborate, suffocating system of total control over 26 million people? According to defector accounts, it all comes down to survival. The regime is terrified that if its people ever knew the truth about the outside world, especially how successful and prosperous South Korea is, they would rise up and overthrow them. That fear, combined with crippling international sanctions, has created this policy of total isolation, which they sell to their people as a way of protecting them from the ideological contamination of the West.
And we have to end on this really critical point. Because North Korea is so completely sealed off, this entire picture has been pieced together from the courageous and frankly unbelievable accounts of defectors. It is the best, most detailed information we have, but it's impossible to verify any of it independently from inside the country. And that just leaves us with a haunting question. What else don't we know?